New Orleans, a city of mystery, a city that 1 million people proudly call home, at least the ones above ground, because New Orleans is also home to many beings that can't find their way back. Watch as our group of paranormal investigators attempt to discover these lost souls. Join us as we explore New Orleans, the most haunted city in America.
You know, I'm often asked, how many ghosts have you met, Sydney? Let's be honest. Ghosts don't appear on command. In fact, it's a tough job hunting them down. Until now. This is the Haunted Mortuary. Just another location, right? That's what we thought too. But inside here, you'll see and hear the best evidence we have found thus far on the existence of paranormal activity. Welcome to Haunted New Orleans.
My name's Ken Arrington. I'm one of the lead investigators here at the Haunted Mortuary on the Paranormal Research Team. Been affiliated with this property since, August of 2007. The mortuary is located about 2 miles outside of the French Quarter, right on the cemetery streetcar line. In fact, we're pretty much the last stop on the streetcar line to the Cities of the Dead. The building was originally built in 1872. It was built as a family home. It was not built as a mortuary. A woman named Mary Slattery built the home for her and her husband and her children. They lived here till 1905. 1905, Mary Slattery and her daughter passed away, we believe, of yellow fever. The property has gone through a couple of owners. The primary occupant of the building, of course, was P.J. McMahon & Sons Funeral Home Company, which operated a funeral home here for over 80 years. They wanted to turn it into a grand funeral home. It was the first funeral home in Louisiana that offered motorized hearses. Not only that, they actually had apartments that people could stay at upstairs when they would come into town. They could run up to 6 to 7 funerals at one time. It's believed that prior to 1985, there were over 20,000 funerals performed here. There was an embalming room on the premises. There's an autopsy room on premises as well. Crematorium, cold storage, casket sales, casket storage, anything that you could think of dealing with the funeral and dealing with taking care of the bereaved. This place, saw to that, and it stayed open until 2003. And eventually, it was purchased to be a day spa, and then they gutted the interior. There was nothing that remained, and they were getting ready to start rebuilding it, and then Katrina came. And this building didn't take a lot of damage during Katrina. It took about 6 inches of water in the basement, but no one wanted to buy a big scary old funeral home, that was empty, didn't have anything in it. So it sat alone and abandoned for a couple of years until Jeff Bourne, the current owner, purchased the property in July of 2007 to turn it into the Mortuary Haunted House. What Jeff didn't know was the haunted reputation that the building had, which actually played a little havoc with his construction crew when they were setting things up.
The one thing that happened to me, it's been a while, but about a year ago when I was sleeping in the building before we actually had the suites, and I was awakened to what sounded like screaming. And it was a low-pitched screaming, and as I woke up, I realized that it was a lot louder. And then I just turned around and looked I went all through the whole house looking for it, but I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, you hear just general noises in this building, and it's weird that you're in one room, and the room next to you, you just hear the noise, and there's other people in the building. You're assuming that somebody that's here working with you is in the next room, and you go into the next room waiting to see somebody that you're working with, and there's nobody in there, and that's really weird, because the second right before you go into the room, you hear like papers shuffling, or you can hear somebody walking, and you go in the room and there's nobody in the whole area, and you're like, wow, who was that?
Former employees who were here were working in the building, and they had seen and saw different things happen in the building, one of which was the noises that they heard, the dragging noise going up and down the stairwell. And at first they didn't really know what it was. They heard this dragging noise up and down the stairs, and they kept hearing this, so they kind of got afraid, and they started asking questions, and that's when they found out that they didn't have a there were only stairs here when the building was originally opened, so they had to bring the coffins up and down through the stairs. So they just figured out it was a residual haunting.
We've had guys that work here who never believed in ghosts. You know, we have a lot of skeptics that work here. That, you know, this building is a haunted house during thematic haunted house during September and October, and a lot of times these guys come in and, you know, they've been in the haunted house industry for so long they don't really believe in ghosts. But it's amazing how many people that have come through here who don't believe in ghosts walk out of here going, you know, there's really something strange going on in this place. The building has tons of history, and it's had paranormal phenomena reported in the building for over 100 years. We've heard stories going back to 1905, 1920s, 1930s. Particularly in the 1930s, a story started about a ghostly woman in white who has been seen throughout the property. Sometimes she'll come up to people and ask, have they seen her husband? The ghost that we have given the name of Marie, or Mary, that is what she usually identifies herself by, has been seen throughout the building. Since the 1970s, there have been stories about a undertaker that worked here that actually died during a funeral. He was outside helping to load up a hearse and slipped on the concrete and struck his head on the pavement, and he passed away. Ever since then, people have said that they have seen a rather tall gentleman asking, "Are you here to see Mr. Anderson?" We've had numerous reports of this phenomena occurring. The embalming room is reportedly one of the more haunted rooms of the house, so we have more ghost stories that come out of the embalming room than anywhere else.
I'm about to go into the embalming room, and I'm standing in the entrance to it, and clear as day, I see this person, which I can't really explain what they look like too much because it was kind of dark, but this person just clear as day passed right in front of me. And that really, they just walked right across me and went into a wall. And it's not like they went through the wall, it's just they went to the wall and they just like disappeared. So I don't know if in the time when that person maybe say existed as a human being, that there could have possibly been a door there, because some of the walls in the basement are changed from where they originally was.
Legend has it there's a mortician that is still there in the embalming room, still doing his work, so to speak, and he's not too happy with the way the room is decorated. But people have been seeing this guy since the 1960s. We hear his name is Samuel.
Since this was a former funeral home, the first thing that comes to my mind is that was one of the embalmers or funeral directors that worked here at the time, because he looked like he was going somewhere and he didn't even pay no mind to me. So he just crossed like he was doing his normal routine or something that didn't involve me even being there.
But the embalming room is definitely one of the scariest rooms in the house. It's a room that even after 2 years, and I don't frighten easy because this is my job, but you know, I still get the willies in from time to time. Two of the main ghosts that are reported in the building are actually the ghosts of two small children. One is a boy, his name's rumored to be Daniel. The girl's name is rumored to be Agnes Elizabeth or Esther Elizabeth. They've been reported in the building for over 100 years.
I'm painting the wall and I look down before I move over, and there's a little boy that haunts here named Daniel, and he's standing there clear as day looking dead up at me as I'm painting. And we just both kind of stood there and looked at each other for a while, and then he just disappeared.
I'd stayed here myself at night and heard little footsteps running around where there's nothing else in the house. The children are very rambunctious. They've been known to play pranks. We have many EVPs of children whistling and talking. We've actually even had, we have an EVP of you can actually hear a little girl arguing with her little brother. So it's kind of funny that in death, ghosts still argue with one another, and they still, little sisters are still little sisters, and little brothers are little brothers. But they've been known to be throughout the house, and they like to play pranks. They like to they like to have fun. They're kids. We even have a doll collection here that people have donated dolls over the years to these two children. My wife, when she started working here, she didn't believe in ghosts at all. She was the most diehard skeptic, non-believer that I had ever met, and total opposite of me in a lot of ways in regards to ghosts and things like that. But now she actually believes more than I do, so to speak, some people's stories, because so many things have happened to her while she's here, and We've both witnessed statues move before in a room. We've seen them move back and forth, just like rock back and forth. We've seen that. We were building a wall downstairs going into what we call the crypt for the haunted house season. It was the middle of the day in the summer, and we both look up and we saw an old man standing in blue pajamas in a corner. And we both saw him at the same time. And I didn't believe what I was seeing, so I looked down and I looked back up, and he was still there. And I looked over at her, and she's just staring with her mouth open into the corner. And I said, "Do you see this?" She goes, "The guy standing in the corner in the blue pajamas." And I was like, "Yeah," and then he disappeared.
When I come here myself and I walk through the doors, it's really not that active to me, because I can kind of tell when things are happening. But when I bring people in here, it's like they all want to see who's here, what's new. They just curious. You know, and that's when we have the most activity. After we run the haunted house attraction through this building, and we have thousands of people going through this building at night, and the energy level is just so bumped in here, it's very active in here after. You know, they feed off that energy that the people leave going through this place. Personally, myself, I believe that the best way to capture paranormal activity on a camera is to use actual film. I use 35mm film, and I use high-speed film with no flash. And the first year we was here for the haunted house attraction, we would do tours after the haunted house, and I'd follow the tour groups around and take pictures. And I'd take rolls and rolls of film. We got the pictures back. A friend of mine that was with me, he always wants to look at the pictures first, and he looked through them, and he's like, "Oh, you don't have nothing." So he hands me a stack of pictures, and I start looking through it, and like the second picture I come to is a picture of the front parlor by the grand staircase, and there's a little girl just standing there clear as day, and I'm like, "Man, how'd you miss that?" But apparently what happened was that she was following a group, because the room that we're standing in right now was where the tour group was at, and I was following them a room behind, taking pictures of the room, and she just randomly showed up on the film, and I have the actual negative in the picture that she showed up in, and it's pretty amazing. But it's actual film. I think I have better luck with than digital. When we bring people in here, we don't say, "Well, there's a ghost of a woman that goes across this room," or "You can see small children playing." We don't tell people usually anything. We just tell them the building's haunted, and we let them have the experiences. And it's like we keep on getting the same thing over and over and over. Same names, everything.
Psychics will come in here, and I'm very much a skeptic about a lot of things, but we've had a lot of psychics come through here and say that we have a lot of transient ghosts due to our close proximity to the cemeteries. There are over 1 million people interred in the cemeteries around us within 1 square mile, and supposedly this is a stopping point, I guess you could say.
If we put everything on the table and then a psychic comes in here, they have all that information, but there's certain entities that haunt in here that we just don't mention, and it's not because of the fact that they're evil or anything like that, it's just the fact they're not interesting. So, you know, we don't talk about them, and when we get these psychics that come in here and they start telling me things that I know that's happened here and that other psychics have mentioned, it kind of sends a chill up your spine, because you know it's the same thing over and over, and it's legitimate.
It just blows my mind how these people who have never met one another report the exact same things, describe children the exact same way, describe a woman in white the exact same way, and it's quite an amazing journey it's been for the home in collecting these things and seeing these things. That's one reason we're glad you guys are here, so we get to share some of these stories.
My name is Shay Hope. I'm a PhD student and an instructor at Delgado Community College here in New Orleans. I've lived here for 6-7 years now. I am a believer, and I grew up in a house where my family bought a haunted plantation when I was a little girl in South Carolina. And growing up in that house, we experienced quite a bit of paranormal activity, so there's no convincing me that ghosts aren't real. I'm going into a place called the Haunted Mortuary tonight, and I'm not looking for corpses. I hear that those have all been removed, except for maybe a few bone fragments downstairs laying around. What I'm hoping to see is, possibly a full body apparition. Don't have my hopes so high for that, but at least maybe changes in temperatures, feelings, maybe things moving around, strange sounds. I've heard rumors of screams emitting out of this house, so I'm curious as to whatever phenomena I can get, and I'm coming in with a very open mind. On a scale of 1 to 10, haunted, how haunted is this place, would you say?
Well, I like to tell people when they come in here, when they're looking for ghosts, a lot of times people have the wrong things in mind. They think of little Japanese children that chase them around going, and little girls in the ring, like crawling out of TVs and stuff like that. It doesn't really happen like that.
Right.
If you're looking for real ghosts, on a scale of 1 to 10, a solid 10. We do have some quite a bit of paranormal phenomena way above this one happened. We've collected hundreds and hundreds of stories over the years that people have reported here, probably more so than most other haunted sites. So we have quite a collection of stories that you can actually look through for evidence if you so desire, but I'm thinking y'all are probably going to have a little bit of fun tonight.
Interesting night in store.
Interesting night in store, definitely.
Well, I'm excited. I'm very excited just to explore it and to see what happens.
Let's take a walk back here, and I'm going to get you started in the embalming room. How about
That sounds very exciting. Good place to start. Lance showed me the photo of the little girl ghost, and he said he took it himself and he's had it clarified, but he I'm sure did not doctor that photograph. He would have no reason to, and it's clear and you can clearly make out the form of about an 8 or 9-year-old little girl. There is no doubt that she was standing at the bottom of those stairs in the daylight, no less. So that speaks pretty highly of the fact that there are going to be little children ghosts running about this house. And I was told also by Kenny that they like to pull on the skirts. Keep them from doing it, maybe shoo them away every now and then. Let's just have them not touch me. Let's have a hands-off policy and we're cool.
If there is paranormal phenomena occurring in a room and that is giving off a temperature differential, that a thermal camera should be able to pick up on that. So in this house, we've actually picked up things on thermal camera before that we could not see with the naked eye, so we might be able to do that today.
I've got to find something.
What's your opinion of this elevator?
It's just great as long as it keeps moving, as long as it doesn't get stuck and I don't have to crawl out the top as Ken said he's done. I'm okay, but it's creepy, it's old, it looks like it should be in The Shining. I think that if we're going to find a ghost, we're going to find it in the mortuary. I 110% already believe, just from the feelings, from the pictures. Ellie, if you're here, we'd love to see you. Would you like to come out and play, you and your little brother Daniel? Would you like to come and see us on camera? So, they told me down here earlier that they actually found bone fragments. Yeah. Which is interesting. Washing and moving from the old cemeteries. Trying to see if we can get a change in temperature anywhere.
And I'm not getting anything on this either.
What are y'all getting?
Now it's gone back up. It was up at, yeah.
I mean, nothing personal.
It was at
I'm not crawling up in there. It's not going to happen.
But it was up at 77, and it's now at 75 down to 74.8. So it is dropping. 73 over there.
It's creepy.
So what's happening on your meter?
Nothing.
Anything happening?
Nothing. But I'm not
It's
crawling up in
interesting.
there to find out
No.
if it goes off.
But look, if I go back up in here, look at how distinct that temperature change is. From 77 down to 73 in some places. Look, right there, 73.4 and dropping. What do you think?
Well, you can actually, it feels kind of like a breeze. You can see the things moving, kind of like a breeze.
But aren't we underground?
We are underground.
So where would the breeze be coming from?
That I don't know.
That's an interesting question, isn't it? That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
And why is it so low right over there
I don't
in
know.
particular?
I don't know. I know that I think this part he said is under the cemetery.
And the ground is very, it looks 73.72, from 77 to 72 just going back up in the air. So there certainly is a massive, a 4 or 5 degree temperature change.
Why don't you crawl back up there and see what you get?
No. What if I found a bone fragment or something like that? You just never know. I don't think it's wise to disturb the graves of the dead. Well, going down in the embalming room and through the rest of the basement and the old crematorium area with the thermal camera, I was very nervous and apprehensive going down there. Both the mortician and the little girl have been seen, been felt, and to some degree been photographed down there. So I went down with the thermal camera and I called out to Ellie and Daniel in particular to ask if they would come out and show themselves and maybe they wanted to play. Ellie, are you here? Do you want to come out and play? But perhaps she's a little shy. Maybe she's a little hiding. Maybe she's not quite a star wanting to go on the big silver screen. So I bet if you were down there with yourself and a ball, something would change. Come out, Ellie. Come out, Daniel. We'll have to try this again another time with perhaps just going down there quietly with the ball and see if she would come out and want to say hello and play.
This is Haunted New Orleans.
There's been a number of reported ghosts on the property, more so than just the children. And besides Marie or Mary, besides the Undertaker, and besides the Mortician. There's also a gentleman named Henry that haunts the property. Now, Henry is an interesting character. Historically, we do know that there was a Henry associated with this building in a caretaker capacity. And from what we've been told, Henry was kind of a ladies' man, so to speak. Henry's also been known to apparently like a drink or two. We have noticed that sometimes when people are around the bar and they start talking about Henry, he shows up.
I mean, you know, come on, Henry, I'm your woman. Where you at? Henry? I hear you're the ladies' man. Let's see it. We're only at 0.1, so Henry is not coming to bring me a drink yet. 0.5. Maybe he heard me teasing him a little bit. Henry, are you coming out and saying hello? Got me a shot of whiskey here? Play some cards. I can play a mean game of Boo-Ray. 2.5. And then down to 0. Henry? Run around with the mortician and the little kids can't be all that much fun, huh? Want to liven the party up a little bit? These guys look kind of dead. I don't think they're a whole lot of fun, so this might be your best opportunity for a little entertainment. So why don't we have us some good times? Why don't we hang out? Right? I don't always dress this teacherly, you know. Sometimes I can look a lot better. I can let my hair down, shake it out. Oh, you like that? We're getting to 1.1. You think that's kind of hot? 1.8, he liked it. Daddy likey. Well, if you like it when it looks like this, you should wait until I fix it. Right? A little more interested, huh? Show a little leg. You like that? 1.2. Yes, he does. Every time I flirt with a ghost, the meter goes up. Who knew? 10.3.
This is Haunted New Orleans.
It's really weird sometimes in this building. Unlike I've been on a lot of haunted properties, and being associated with this building is kind of weird. It's like sometimes, and I hate to put it this way, but it's like the ghosts will perform. It's like they have their own cue. You can start talking about them, you can relate a story about them, and if you have the equipment here, you know, using it, all of a sudden, bam, you know, it's like they know that they're being talked about, so they actually come out and want to interact.
0.5, you getting that? From 0.0, no movement. Daniel and Ellie, are you two down here playing with us? And now you're not going to show us, but we caught you on camera, so it's too late now.
Imagine being, you know, a ghost, and you know, you're getting frustrated because you want to actually interact with people. And you know, here in this building, I don't know what it is about this place, but it seems like the ghosts interact. And that's one of the amazing things about, you know, being here. People all the time ask me, well, how many paranormal experiences have you had? No idea. Just because I've had so many of them happen to me here. Now, it's not always visual. Most of the time it's not, you know, 9 times out of 10 it's not visual. Most of the time it's like a weird feeling or hearing a noise, or all of a sudden you're walking around with a magnetometer and the thing goes off the charts like it did to Shay, and then it goes back down to 0. There's really no way to explain that other than to say maybe it's something paranormal.
No? Not at the foot of the stairs, huh? Samuel might not appreciate the balls being played with in the house. 3.8. Holy smoke. Samuel might not appreciate playing with balls in the house as I bounced this ball and it shot to 3.8. That's one of the craziest things, man. I mean, I feel like we're actually having the dead playing with us and interacting with us here. I mean, following around like a hide and seek game where they're invisible, and then coming down and walking through this area, which frankly, this would be a great place to hide. And getting that 16.6 like somebody jumped out and just yelled, "Boo!" Or "I got you." It's like these little bursts of energy going off around us, like somebody's shouting or somebody's jumping around and waving. Now, when you said you took a picture over here, what did you get?
A picture of a little girl, I believe it's Agnes Elizabeth, and she's
Oh, 1.8. Your chaos meter as soon as you said that.
Yeah.
You're standing in the same area where you're getting a 0.1 reading. As soon as you said a picture of a little girl, Agnes Elizabeth, you believe, immediately popped to 1.8. I could see it right over your shoulder. Well, keep walking and tell us about it.
She was standing right here in this area, and she was looking into that room. And at the time when we took the picture, we had a tour group just come down the stairs through this room and into the front room right there. And Ken was talking to him about the children that haunt here. And I was standing down in the foyer right there, and I snapped the picture in this room. And it was just with high speed, I believe it was 800 speed Kodak film with no flash. And I just randomly took like 2 pictures in the room, and one picture she's here and the next picture she's not.
My experience here at the mortuary has been somewhat creepy, but more than anything, it's been informative. You know, I feel that we did get some definitive proof with the meters, and walking around upstairs calling out to one ghost in particular, and all of them in general. We asked the children to come and play hide and seek, and we got some small readings, which, you know, going from 0 to a 2 to a 3 is significant. However, calling out to one particular ghost, Henry, we got very strong readings, ranging everywhere from 5 all the way up to 14, 10s, and 9s, and the meter would go back down to 0. It wouldn't hold a steady reading, so we know that it wasn't an electrical source or some other source of radiation. That's pretty significant, and it suggests that, yes, there was something here that we couldn't quite see.
Draw your own conclusion. Our believers have, the staff at the mortuary certainly has, and now it's your turn. And if you're still not sure, well, open your eyes, open your ears, and the result should be a foregone conclusion. We'll see you next time on Haunted New Orleans.